It's the All Birdies No Bogeys Podcast, your weekly disc golf analysis podcast right here on JomezPro. I'm your host, Brian Earhart. I'm joined by two co-hosts this time. Nate Perkins joins me from Norway at Overas. And it's EPT. It's Esa-Pekka Tupala. You're kind of stuck here. You're forced to be on the podcast. I'll put the tortilla mask down. Esa-Pekka, how you feeling, my friend?
I'm doing super good. Thanks for asking and thanks for inviting me for this very special Tortilla podcast.
Well, all three of us were out there all weekend long, taking in the action. And it was like one of the best weekends of live disc golf that we've seen in quite some time. And there was not just the tournament here in Norway. There was the tournament over in the States, the U.S. Masters Championship. Perkins, your boy Paul Oman wins in Masters. Just like reflect on the weekend in general.
Oh, man. Well, Paul Oman is a human that you don't forget after you meet him. And, you know, after he won this title, you start to see the flood on Instagram, on social media, right, of people showering him with love, right? Because he's affected so many people. Like he to me is like the definition of a chiller, right? He obviously he's in his 40s now. He's playing the Masters, and man's living in a van, traveling around simply because he loves to play the game. And this is the lifestyle that he's chosen, not because he has to, but because he loves this game, guys. And he's the chillest guy you're ever going to meet. Anytime that I'm hanging with Paul and you're trying to figure out what's for dinner, the words that come out of his mouth are, "I'm easy." You know me, I'm easy. And he's making this hole-in-one right here look easy, and this is when it really got going. This is the final round of the Masters World Championships. Paul's playing in one of his favorite places on planet Earth. That's Blue Ribbon Pines. They went back-to-back on rounds 4 and 5 to close out the Masters Worlds. Paul was on the chase card, right? He is several back at this point. He dunks it with the Destroyer on 10, pars hole 11, and then the man birdies out. It was honestly, I don't even say this lightly. I don't say it because he's one of my best friends. I say it because this was one of the best rounds of live disc golf I have ever seen. From Paul Oman making these putts, shooting 1070 rated 12 under par. Dutch Napier was playing absolutely out of body. The man was letting putters go and fist pumping halfway on 50 and 60 footers. He was playing out of body, guys. And for Paul to push it with the 12 under on 18 holes to go into the playoff, it was otherworldly. And we're here in Norway, right? And so they finished this round at like midnight, at like 12:30, and everybody, all the pros, they were up and they were watching the Masters World Championship, guys. Brian, EPT, what do you guys make of this?
Well, the first thing I got to say, me and Esa-Pekka are sitting there watching our broadcast, and all of a sudden the producer goes, "All right, you guys are on the Masters World stream." And both of us look at each other like, "What do you mean I'm on the Masters World stream?" Apparently, there was like a last-second decision to splice our broadcast in with theirs, and we were supposed to say hello. And I'm pretty sure there was like 20 seconds of nothing. So for those of you who caught that 20-second window, me and Esa-Pekka were lost. Were you kind of in the same boat?
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't sure what it was meaning. Like we're live with. I mean, do we have like split screen going on? What was it like? I had no clue. No clue whatsoever. Not a warning. Not anything.
So sorry about that, fans. I don't know. I'm just stoked to see the Masters division coming along. Esa-Pekka was pointing out some players from Finland that were also shooting really well that week. Love that they made the trip over to the United States. Dutch Napier, I'm so glad he's getting his flowers. This guy is a legend. He's an absolute legend. And I love, he's got a Louisville Slugger that he keeps in his trunk that he uses to warm up. I thought it was the most genius way to warm up. And this dude is just a phenomenal putter, phenomenal thrower. And here we go. Paul Oman, another Masters guy coming into the fold. Nate Sexton now coming out with a big win at Tim Selinsky. Big Germs playing Masters now. Michael Johansson. I mean, come on. We better have some more Masters tournaments on the network coming up.
for sure. Think about all the guys who are year by year going to join them in the Masters. That's going to be epic in a couple of years to see all the guys you might not even expect yet to move on there.
Well, we talk about FPO as well. Quick shout out, Owen Scoggins. Just keeps going. Just keeps on going. Owen is just a legend.
Is that 4?
Obviously,
Is that 4?
I think it's her 4th Masters major.
In a row,
maybe 4th
I think.
Masters major or world title, I believe.
I think
Forgive
it's
me on
4 in
that.
a row, Brian. I think that's 4 worlds in a
gross.
row at least. And yeah, it's incredible. It was a battle the entire way. She's playing against Jennifer Allen, who is also just inspirational and has been playing extremely high-level disc golf. And they were playing through hail to finish. Like Owen laid up in a hailstorm, a literal hailstorm, not Haley King, a literal hailstorm. And it was just incredible. They destroyed the field. I think that there were only 3 players in the FP40 division under par for the entire tournament. Owen and Jen just leaving the field behind. There's the classic forehand flex from Scoggins right there. Here's a classic just putt. I mean, one of the top 5 putters all time for the FPO. Here we go. Look at this. This is short of the creek, outside circle 2, 85-footer, sinks it. There's the classic joyous rundown from Owen. That was on hole 11.
Nate, are they playing on the RPM baskets?
Those are the RPM Helix baskets. So the owner of Blue Ribbon Pines, Ray Jordan, he traveled to New Zealand a year ago, and he's good buddies with Simon Feasy, and so he bought 27 brand new Helix baskets, freshly powder coated for his course at Blue Ribbon. Honestly, undoubtedly the best catching basket in the world. Simon has a background in engineering, and he looked at all the baskets and really felt like he solved what the other baskets did not solve. And they were on full display for the Masters World Championships this weekend.
Well, yeah. Nate, unbelievable stuff. And really cool that they're using the RPM basket. Esa-Pekka, have you ever played on those before?
I've never played on them, and it would be so cool to have them somewhere on my on these courses in Finland. I did some live fact checking here. It might be that On has started that run of those Masters Pro Worlds from 2021, and this was her 5th.
Wow.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
5 in a row? That's insane.
They did have a list. Oof. They did have a list, Nate. That there was like 10 FPO players that are like top ranked that are about to turn 40 in the next like 7 years or so.
Yeah, same with MPO.
Kristin Lott, just turned 33. And I'm so excited. And I think the Disc Golf Network is probably really excited too, because again, we get to see some different courses. We're not going to get to see Kaposia or Blue Ribbon Pines on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. This is so cool. But
yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I think that it's really compelling. I think that a lot of times we try and model ourselves after other sports, and I just think that disc golf is a little different, right? I think that the Masters division it's almost just as compelling as watching these young players play. And I think that when you look at our demographics, right, the majority of disc golfers can relate more toward the Masters divisions, right? That 30 to 50-year-olds are still the majority of disc golfers out there, even post-COVID boom. And so I really felt like Disc Golf Network, kind of taking that leap and pushing 2 broadcasts at one time was a big deal. It shows that they also value the titles in the Masters division. And I felt like, I don't know what the numbers were, what the viewership was, but I feel like there is absolutely a future in broadcasting these events live.
Well, we had it behind the DGN Pro paywall, which cuts out access to a lot of people. However, the people that did upgrade their subscription to watch, I think it was like 75%, maybe even better, watched Masters Worlds all weekend. So, yeah, huge success. I think it really was a huge success. But Nate, this is only half of the weekend. We're over here in Europe. Me and Esa-Pekka are having just a great time commentating. We haven't gotten to do this since last year's European Open. And having you on the ground there in Norway is just fantastic. Can you just bring us into some of that Viking lore that you started the broadcast with? Did you research it the morning of?
Well,
or have you known this your whole life?
No, I do love history, and I'd like to, when I'm traveling to a place, I've been digging Audible, for the past 7-8 years since I became, road warrior. It's a great way to learn while you drive, right? And so I like to download a book that relates to the region, right? And last year, Catherine, my fiance, and I went to Iceland, and we really wanted to listen to a book about the Vikings, right? So I downloaded this book, The Children of Ash and Elm, and we started listening to it, and it was pretty dense, and so we turned it off. But I've returned to Norway this year and started re-listening to it on my drives, on the plane, and a bit while I was hiking. And it was just, I kind of really dove into it and was really intrigued by a lot of the lore. And so it was really fun to be able to try and just add a little bit of that flavor into the broadcast, talking about Valhalla. I mean, we've all heard it, but and a lot of us have probably, downloaded the meaning of it from, the shows that we've seen. But nonetheless, it's just fun to add that local flavor, and you kind of like, it's still here. Like the some of the Viking culture, and the way that some people carry themselves, like they still have a little bit of that here. And I think that while the Vikings aren't necessarily the most ideal people to kind of model modern societies after, I think that people here are proud. They are proud that they are descendants of Vikings, and that's why you see kind of the Viking as the PCS kind of symbol. They've got the axe as the trophy, right? They're not disgraced by their history. They're proud of it, and yeah, it's really interesting stuff. And there was one thing, I'll close it out, about the Vikings. 3 years ago, I was here, and I was asking people if they had ever found any artifacts, right? Because I'm super interested in finding Native American artifacts back home. I love looking for arrowheads. And I'm just wondering if you can still find some Iron Age stuff. And it turns out that the next door neighbor to the Overas Disc Golf Park was gardening in their garden and found a literal axe, like a full-on, complete Iron Age Viking axe in their freaking garden, and turned it into the local museum here. So it's just like one of those things, the hair on my arms just like stood up, because the thought of like finding something like that that hasn't been, wielded since, I don't know, the year 600, it's just kind of crazy to me.
I have a quick question for you, EPT. And this might be the most ignorant question I've asked, but is there Viking lore in Finland as well? Like, do you grow up hearing these kinds of things as well?
Well, something like here and there. We didn't have like a raging Viking era like these other Nordic countries, like Norway, Iceland, and Sweden, Denmark. We didn't have that kind of a Viking era, so to speak. That's what I feel like I've been learning in schools.
Well, my other question for you, you just told me you've done, I think last weekend or something, was your 100th DGN show, which is incredible. And I love having you on. I love being able to commentate with you. But you also talked to me a little bit yesterday about English not being your first language and having to really work hard to think in English when you're commentating. Can you kind of bring some of the American listeners into like what that's like?
Well, it's kind of difficult. I mean, start learning maybe some Spanish or French, and then after a few years, try commentating with that. And then the interesting point for me is that I still kind of want to think in Finnish, but then when these streams kind of got along and we started doing them again and again, I figured that that's kind of useless for me. and we also communicate through the studio with every crew member. We communicate in English during the broadcasts in order to trying to keep our thoughts in English too, and that's kind of a tricky part of it. It gets easier and easier, but I can assure you, I'm still headed into those dead ends here and there.
Well, from show 1 to show 100, how much better has it gotten for you? Was it tough in the beginning?
It was certainly tough. The ones who have been commentating on Disc Golf Network know that Mahmoud, our dear producer, he likes to give those bits of information into our ears while we are doing the broadcast. And my first ever show was with Mahmoud. It was the PCS Open 2023, and my first ever round speaking English in live sports commentary was with Mahmoud, giving me those bits and here and there. And that was kind of something else. I don't have many memories of it. I remember sweating like crazy and trying to keep everything together. And it was kind of hilarious thinking that when those commercial breaks came, they felt like they were like 10 seconds long. And then I was back at it again. I was like, okay, here he is drawing that was kind of mad. But then we got on with other producers in Pulsea, and now we have Juha here producing for via the DGN, of course, and we have this own thing going on here. They are kind of doing their own thing there, and they're giving us cues. Where are we going? What are we doing next? But we are kind of living in a free roll, so to speak. How's your thing going on here?
Well, I love it here, and I think I like Mahmoud's style, and I also like Juha's style when he's producing. Juha's a lot more straight to the point. It's like you've told me, it's very Finnish, the way he does things. Mahmoud, I wouldn't say it's specifically American, but he's very descriptive when he wants you to know something, and he doesn't want you to miss it. Mahmoud seems to be a little quicker with his cuts, and when he finds a good clip, he'll put it in there, and you have to react to it. But yeah, some of my first broadcasts I was doing were remote broadcasts where I was on one side of the screen, Perkins was on the other side of the screen somewhere else.
Tough.
And we had little tiny, vMix, slots of his face. So that was how I could see Perkins talking. But then in the beginning, I wasn't used to Mahmoud being in my ear, or any producer. So there were a couple times when I responded to Mahmoud live on air and nobody knew what I was talking about because I was like, I kind of lost my place in time and thought we were on a phone call or something, but really he just wanted me to stay focused on what he wanted me to see. But yeah, Perk, did you ever deal with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's a skill to maintain your train of thought when someone's in your ear talking to you. It's really hard. I don't think that I'll totally be in the clear on that every now and then, especially in the interviews, of the champion. You're interviewing them, and it's a little nerve-wracking. I've been getting settled in over the years, but you're interviewing them. It's a big moment, crowds all around, and all of a sudden, they're like, all right, one more question, and then you lose your last question. You're like, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to ask, and it's tough. But, all in all, it's just fun. It's just fun making disc golf television. It's a joy.
Well, the players made it a joy for us this weekend here in Norway. It was ridiculous. I had to stand up. I had to tell the crowd that I was standing up. The edge of my seat wasn't enough.
That was funny. EPT was like, "That's the window, Brian." That's so
Don't throw your chair out of the window.
That's the window.
But in the morning, me and Esa-Pekka get to the studio and we're like, man, if Kristin rattles off the first few birdies, this could be just
how are we gonna make something out of this broadcast?
Everyone knows that it turns into the battle for second after somebody pulls away like that. How often can we sell that? And then you have to find more interesting storylines within that, which still you want to see a good battle on screen. What about you? Were you predicting this at all?
Oh, certainly not. You're not going to predict that Kristin is going to shoot over par when she's healthy and in form, right? It doesn't happen very often. I didn't feel like, after seeing her play in round 2, I didn't feel like she was quite Grand Slam Kristin. We saw flashes of that in round 1. She looked unstoppable until the 18th. But round 2, you could kind of see the chinks in the armor a little bit. And then, I don't know what it is when that happens, right? When the greats of our game falter like that, it's hard to put your finger on it because it is so rare. So certainly didn't expect it, but I'm with you guys, right? We don't want to ever root for someone to fail, but we also want compelling disc golf. We want to broadcast compelling disc golf. So it was good television for Anniken and Eveliina to be playing the rounds that they were having, and Kristin to double bogey pretty early. It brought him back into the game. All of a sudden, the fans started following closer. I noticed that the gallery got a little bigger, and it was interesting the entire time, right? Until Eveliina actually ended up pulling away. So tough for Kristin, but overall good for the game, I thought.
Yeah, and I was speaking about it throughout the weekend. I got some pretty nice long messages from Eveliina and Anniken when I send sometimes like a mass message out and just see who responds to me, what kind of research I can gather. And Anniken and Eveliina both spoke pretty deeply about their states of mind going into this weekend. And Anniken was not in a good place for a while. European Championships, she sounded way out of sorts. And there were a lot of people score-wise out of sorts. I mean, when you play in a windstorm, did you say it was like 70 miles an hour wind?
Gusts, yeah, 30 meters per second.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, when it gets to that level,
unplayable.
I feel like you can't be too hard on yourself. I mean, a
No.
2-foot putt in a headwind is sometimes impossible.
Level 1 hurricane.
Yeah, level 1 hurricane, yeah. And she told me after that tournament she was all out of sorts, and I think a common theme is happening with a lot of these players. They're like really realizing how raw honesty can be and how many layers you have to peel back before you're truly honest with yourself. And for Anniken, it was like her telling me, I didn't want to acknowledge that I felt this deep responsibility to represent my country in Norway. I wanted to just try to ignore those feelings. Then she said, the moment I just let myself be proud of feeling that, things got a lot easier for me. And it's funny how you make that one switch in your brain. She comes up here, ties for second. And as a lefty, her forehand's come a long way, but as a pure lefty, pretty much just crazy weekend for her, Nate. What did you pick up from Anniken?
Well, the sixth right here, if you're watching on Jomez YouTube, I don't think we had a birdie yet on the final day. And she goes forehand off the tee, right, which is already a little outside of her comfort zone to go driver forehand off the tee. And then she threw just a beautiful controlled setup shot. She was in control all day, really impressed with her speed, her nose angles. She sets up. She's outside circle 2. She's probably, I'll give her 90 feet, right? Eveliina throws a really beautiful little touch forehand right in front of the basket. Kind of looked like it was going in, and just it flashes in front of the basket. And it kind of gave me this feeling of like, oh, okay, now we know how far the basket is, right? We have a reference point of Eveliina's AVR 3 going right in front of the chains. Anniken steps up, and she's got this cool weight to her putt, right? The way that she kind of sets up reminds me of another lefty, Zach Arlinghouse, right? Like the arm, the off arm is totally down, and she's just holding the putter way out there in front of her. It's got this cool weight to it, and she puts it up there. As soon as she lets it go, because I had just seen Eveliina's putt, and I'm standing right behind, I'm like, oh, it's in. It's totally in. And she just full flex right in the heart. And she, I'll jump ahead a few holes, because she actually didn't even know that she was in the lead at one point. That kind of got her in it, because Kristin, I think, did Kristin double that hole or single it?
6.
Yeah, she at least she doubled that hole, right? And so Anniken picks up 3 on her, and she's all of a sudden back in it. Later, I was talking to Anniken, though, and she had no idea until she checked on 18 that she was actually in it. She was just, I just had no idea. And I find that so interesting because she should have had some idea, right? She was like 6 down through 11 or 12 holes, and Kristin wasn't playing well, but it just kind of shows you the mindset that some of these players get into. They're not really thinking about scores. They don't even keep track of their own scores, and I think that's kind of a gift to be able to enter that state of mind.
Real quick, we got to back up. Give me some more details on. Thank you for backing up for me. What's this chocolate milk deal? You gotta explain the transaction in a little bit more detail. Because if that happened to me and the TD was like, "Oh, hold on, I'll go make you chocolate milk in my house," I'd be like, "No, please don't do that." Like, how did it actually go down?
Yeah, so to set it up, I mean, I sent out an email to ask help to set up this podcast, right? And the first guy to respond is the tournament director, Sievert. He's a friend of mine at this point. I've known him for a couple of years, and he's like, "Oh, you can just use my house. Just come right over here to my house." And that's where I'm at right now. I'm on Sievert's porch, and you can see some of the Midfjorden peaks behind me, just barely through the gap right here. But that's the kind of guy that Sievert is, right? This is his land, and he is going, above and beyond to help with every little thing. Right. And Leif told me, another one of the TDs out here told me that Anniken was talking to someone in Norwegian in the crowd, and that they overheard her that she had a craving for chocolate milk. Sievert got word of this craving, and he was like, "Oh, I've got the mix for chocolate milk." The man runs up the hill, which is like, far away, a good, kilometer up the hill, and mixes the chocolate milk, runs it back down to her in the middle of Six's fairway. She takes a couple swigs of it, and then her very next shot after receiving the chocolate milk is that putt for birdie on the 6th. So just kind of a funny story. And yeah, it just kind of sets the tone a little bit for the community here, the scale of it all. Right. And just the way that the countries, stick together, the Norwegians stick together, right? The Finns stick together. It's so endearing to hear EPT, to hear you talk about the Finns, because no matter how unbiased you feel like you're coming across, I can feel the bit of just joy. You're like, "Oh yes, Lale, we must see Lale's eagle." It comes through because you guys have that camaraderie with each other. Like, you want to see the Finn excel so badly, as do the Norwegians, as do the Swedes. It's a really sweet thing that I've felt from you guys over the years.
It might be, and I might just throw every single Finnish player under the bus here. But what we have to do, Brian, you know how it goes. There is the leader, and he's battling to keep it all together. And then there are those runner-ups who are trying to win the tournament. And usually, still the case is that the Finns are just tailing the leader, and they're not quite able to make it there. So we have to figure out how to keep all these people still interested in the round. We know anything can happen. And Lauri has this amazing shot. He made this amazing shot on 9. I'm so sad we don't have the footage of it. It might be that the Finns have to do a bit better still in order to come out completely like
But I sense the love too. I really sense the love that you have for these players, and especially the young talent. You're like going out of your way and like finding all this information on these young players, and I can tell that you're very proud of the young talent and how they're developing.
I'm so happy to see that the field is evening out. You talked with me about how are the courses between Europe and the States? Are they more difficult? How do they differ? Like when we compare multiple courses together? And I don't have a clear answer for that. I just know that 95% of Finnish disc golf courses are in the woods, and Finnish disc golfers learn how to disc golf with hundreds of trees between them and the basket when they are on the tee. And that's why we have multiple players on the tour, even if they're young guns or they're practically veterans there. like we've seen them years and years on end. They know how to hit gaps, and they know they're at their best when they have a tight gap to hit. And then it's just about that player's specific mental state. How are they able to keep their nerves at bay?
Well, we got to talk about a Finn, and that's the champion of this tournament, Eveliina Salonen. Was not expecting that after round number 2. She posted that selfie, 4 down with 10 missed circle 1 putts. What do you make of this performance, Nate? She really had a switch flip in her head.
And before you go, Nate, I'm going to ask you, was just 10? That seems so low. I mean, it was like a 15 or something. It felt like she missed all and over again. Let's go, Nate. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, I asked her about that in the interview. It's just incredible to me, the perseverance and the courage that she has, because when you are missing short putt after short putt for years and years in front of crowds, in front of the cameras, I mean, there are videos collectively with millions of views of her missing, amateur level distance putts, right? And it's so hard to even show up to work the next day, right? To just continue to show up, it says so much. And it also just says so much about how good she is at throwing the disc. It's just there's not many players ever who can really compare to her prowess from the tee pad or from the field, right? She throws the disc so well, and it's hard to believe, right? We've all heard the saying for many years, right? You drive for show, putt for dough, and there's been some statistics kind of countering that. But in the end, the game is still about getting the disc in the basket, right? And for her to continue to win tournaments with like 60% putting percentages on the weekend, it's unfathomable. And she's an easy player to root for, right? She's so fun, she's so joyous out there. The way that she aces and just turns around with like blush on her cheeks and just like laughing, she's just a fun player to watch, man. I don't think there's anybody out there that roots against Eveliina. And today she kind of brought some grit to the scene, right? Like those putts that she made, the few 7 and 8 meter putts that she made, she had some grit, right? And you guys, I thought did a great job of kind of keying in on that and noticing that. I think the one call that I really enjoyed was the putt on 13. You guys were talking about the potential to like lay it up, and then she goes and puts it on the pole, right? What do you guys make of this performance from Eveliina?
Amazing. I mean, she didn't let go of the thought that she still has a chance. Just like she told you, Nate, in the interview, she just kept on pushing forward, birdie, some pars here and there, and she made it happen. I mean, there's no question about it that she did win this tournament.
Oh yeah, she for sure won this tournament, and I kind of keyed in on that same response when you were interviewing her. She was down 6 going into the final round to the number 1 player in the world, and who has been for years. And Eveliina just said, "Yeah, I always knew I had a chance." That's the speaking of a world champion who has played enough rounds with Kristin to know that she's not invincible. While we transition, we do need to talk a little bit about Kristin. My big question, and we were talking about this off camera, Eveliina's taking a break next week, and she just won the tournament. Kristin, it seems like despite the illness, despite the broken toe, she's trying to show some toughness, which again, as a role model, you have a choice to make. And it seems like it's a win-win and a lose-lose no matter what. She's chosen to tough it out. Do you think she should take a break next week, or do you think it's okay?
I don't think that she should take a break. I don't I mean, I love Evelina's choice to take a break because she knows exactly what she needs. She took a month and a half off. She comes back, she wins 3 tournaments. And so every player needs to be able to tune into what they need to perform at their best, right? I don't necessarily equate more competitions as a burden, right? I think that it's up to the player to do with it what they will, right? I think that a lot of the times more competitions can just fuel the flame inside a player, right? And so with Kristin's performance on this final round, I could see why, fans and players are like, maybe she should take a break, right? But I don't think that, a disc golf tournament down in Oslo at Krokhol, right? It's not like it's physically that taxing. Kristin's a mental giant. It shouldn't be mentally that taxing for her to go down there and play a tournament. And honestly, she could go down there, smoke the field, and then I don't think there will be anybody that will be kind of questioning her decision to go down there, play, and kind of tweak on some stuff that she left behind this final day. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to read something real quick because during the broadcast, the MPO show, she posted already. And she always gives us details. She always lets us in on what she's feeling. I'll read it real quick. It's not that long. Silver medal at PCS Open. This is what went down this week. I turned 33. I had yet another golden opportunity to push ego and all of its wild stories to the passenger seat. I threw my overstable orbit rive surprisingly far. I remember that shot on 13, I believe.
That was sick.
Got some painful feelings served on a silver platter, and I felt them. Got deep joy and immense gratitude served on a silver platter too, and I felt that, and I recognized that. I dipped into icy water. I finally stopped doubting myself, and I made a separate Instagram account for the photos and stories I want to share. I witnessed how human and nature merged together. I played Uno and won 5 games in a row, but then scored 127 points with one hand. Sounds like my disc golf game lately. Long and scenic drive waiting for us tomorrow, hoping to capture some extraordinary moments and be inspired to share magical stories about them. And she gave the sword to Eveliina. I loved that moment. That was great.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing, if you ask me, one thing is for sure, whatever Kristin decides to do now, and it seems like she's still on the list for Krokhol Open, whatever she does now before those European majors, I hope deep in my heart that we can see as close to 100% Kristin in those majors than we possibly can. And I hope all the best for her.
And I think the rest of the field does too. I think the rest of the field wants to see her at her best, just like people want to see Gannon Burr at his best. They want to see Paul McBeth at his best because that's how they want to win. They want to win with a battle. They want to, die in battle, like you said, going to Valhalla, which I thought was a hilarious segment, Nate. So, yeah, all in all, crazy event, crazy comeback. Eveliina's on 3 in a row right now. Kristin, we'll see what she does at the next tournament. Eveliina takes a break. We got Holland and Missy coming. The ramp up is real. But Nate, Epe, MPO blew our minds again as well. I think this was the epitome of where MPO is right now. You have no idea what is going to happen week in and week out. We've said instant classic on interviews and podcasts like 7 times.
Yeah, every week, dude. It is. This is true.
When Adam hit that 40-footer to win at Waco, it was an instant classic. It feels like anytime Adam wins, it's an instant classic. The playoff at Portland, the final hole, how all that went down. He's kind of the guy that brings out some fire in a lot of people. And I want to just ask both of you, maybe EPT can go first. What do you make of this weekend? And really, let's key in on the final day.
I mean, just pure magic. I would call it magic because as we were gasping our air there on the 18th when Adam decided to go for the green, and we were searching for windows for these jars to go out. I mean, it was unbelievable, and we were just thinking the fact that he must not know the situation. Miio Hämäläinen, 18 years old from Heinola, the Kippis disc golf park, the disc golf heaven of Finland, so to speak, has raised that boy and that man. as a disc golfer he is today, found disc golf in about 4 years ago. He's in the clubhouse, 21 down, and if Adam messes this one up, they could have a 3-way tie if Gannon makes a par, at least a par. We were gasping and we were wondering what the heck is going on.
I loved it. I loved it because for a second my stomach started to feel terrible. I was starting to feel awful, like, oh God. Does he not know that this kid is just sitting there with his buddies, just like leaning over the fence, like, oh, please screw up. Please screw up. Nobody knows who I am yet, and they're going to know who I am soon. And then he just goes ice cold. And then he tells you in the interview, oh, yeah, I knew what the scores were. Like, that's ice cold. And I don't know. I don't know, man. I get it, what he said. I get the whole, like, I don't want to throw another 100-foot shot. I get that. But can you talk about, like, if you lay up and you don't get deadly close to the OB, how far is that shot really?
Oh, it's so short. I even with the execution that he displayed right there with the zone to put it inside the bullseye, I still can't understand it, right? Kyle Klein, Gavin Babcock, they were kind of right behind me while we were watching him throw, and Joey Tamale as well, and we're just sitting there kind of questioning, like, why is he lining up? What is he thinking? He must not know the scores, right? There's no other way, because if you know the scores, he could have just jump putt to the corner, with OB 30 feet left, OB 30 feet right, plenty of space, and then another jump putt. So I think that in those moments, it must just be harder to think clearly. And he really couldn't quite make that calculation of, like, that it is actually just easier to progress, tap it in than throw that shot, because that shot was giving people trouble. It's been giving people trouble for years. I mean, it's a touchy little shot. It's that awkward distance. It's like just inside 200 feet, and there's OB everywhere. So if he pulls it right away, he didn't. But if he does, it's going to be one of those moments that he's going to, be scorned for. Like, what are you thinking? Like, you had a victory and you threw it away for what? Because you wanted to get up and down for birdie? It was a weird decision, but nonetheless, he made it happen. So maybe he made that calculation, and maybe he's right. Maybe the zone from that distance is better than 2 of his jump putts. So it's in the past, and I'm with you guys. It was a wild moment, and just as wild was the 17th, right? To bogey that hole just goes to show you, like, the pressure of the win is real, right? Easiest hole on the course. I think maybe 5 people bogeyed it on the day. Majority of people are taking a 3 there, and he had no chance at a par. So it was just crazy for him to do that down the stretch and kind of bring Miio and Gannon back into the picture.
Yeah, I was really afraid for Adam there, because we've seen him kind of lose a couple of those big tournaments in those very, very crucial last moments. Coming back on 18, though, I've been pondering around this subject now. Why did he go for the green? And I kind of understand the fact that how many of those players on the field that day in those kind of situations, how many of them have been prepared with the jump putt layup on 18? Yeah. None of them. I'm sometimes arguing, maybe I'm arguing now that the layup plays are the most difficult ones in disc golf, because usually they come just around the corner on the moments when you're a bit shaking, your hand is sweating, you're playing for the big money, you're playing for the victory, for that freaking axe, which is gorgeous. And then in that moment, you are not laying up with the jump putt, because that seems out of the question. You go for the odds, and you go for the shot that you practice the most. Isn't that kind of the thing that Adam's doing there?
It makes sense. And my question for you, Nate, is, so Adam's one of those guys that has like a 150-foot jump putt. How close to the OB line did he need to get to stay in jump putt range?
So you're asking after his tee shot, if he jumped, if he laid up. If he laid up, right? So
how close to the OB line does he need to get to jump putt that?
Not that close, right?
Okay.
He just needs to get like within 30 feet or something of the OB line. So he could have gone 100-foot jump putt and then another 100, or an 80-foot jump putt or a 75-foot jump putt. He could have got just outside of circle 2 and had plenty of space all around him, OB wise.
Okay. But you know what? It's not as swaggy to do it that way. Jump putt, tap in.
Yeah.
We're gonna make everyone lose their mind, and I'm gonna throw just the iciest shot up to the green.
You don't want to host that axe with 2 jump putts.
Yeah, no, they're not gonna give it to you. They're gonna say, "Good job.
You're not going to Valhalla.
You won." We'll give Miio the axe.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
At the end of the day, prestige on this tournament is already like sky high. Everyone wants to come here and hoist that axe. I think Barsby hoisting it the first time, losing his mind. I think that got people on notice.
That was sick. That was sick, man. Yeah, this place is, I was trying to add that flavor in there as much as possible because you really can't oversell it, right? There's just not many places in the world like this, right? Mountains right next to the sea. The fjords are absolutely insane. There's no other landscape like it, and I harped on the weather a ton, right? But the locals are like, it's never like this. It's never like this. Like there's less than 50 days a year, like we had these past 3 days. So to have 3 of them in a row, it's crazy. Felt super fortunate, and that's why when the schedule came out, I'm like, I'd love to go to that one. Whatever tournament you have to drop me from, take me off Des Moines, take me off Ledgestone. Like, I want to go there. I really want to go back there.
Well, yeah. I loved it. And I also love a course that's sub 10,000 feet that provides the type of scoring separation that this course did. I think they balanced this white stake OB with short angle specific par fours. And I wanted to touch on hole 9. I want to zoom in on that because to me, it was kind of the talk of every round. We got stuck there half the time with backups. So we had to talk about it a little bit longer. Guys were going over the top and spraying all over the place. I actually grew to love that hole. It felt like maybe a little Stockholm syndrome. Like I felt like I was being held hostage by hole 9. But I want to ask your guys' opinion after 3 rounds, as the hole played now, FPOT and then MPOT. What do you guys think?
Go for it, EP.
Nate, you can go first. Tossing to each other. Well, I'm gonna take it. I like that people are asking us and the DGPT and the PDGA, please give us a course that is not like 110% distance throwing all the time. Here we are. Welcome to Norway. You're welcome. This is a technical course, and this hole number 9 goes into that ridiculous category for me when we consider MPO, because they can go over, they still make the Mando, and then we can spend some time trying to pick up those discs in the rough. We can hear Perks giving us some info about the nature. The Blueberry Perks is now an official term. You should change your Instagram nickname. I mean, this hole was playing I was really well, because you have that narrow gap. Ricky showed us how to play through that narrow left gap on his practice round videos. And then we had some guys going with this main gap from the right, low, but then most of them going high above everything else. And then the FPO, this became just a really tactical par 4. Yeah, it's fresh. Yeah, there's a bunch of undergrowth. There's maybe a couple of trees too much for my liking on the fairway before the green, but it played really nice for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. FPO, when I look at the birdie counts, 3 birdies round 3.
Wow.
1 birdie in round 2. It's scoring like a par 5 scores for Eagles. 2 birdies in round 1. And we saw 2 of them, and Kristin threw the most magical shot ever. Paige played the hole to perfection. But it feels like Epe said, it just needs a little tweaking for FPO. MPO, I don't know. I kind of like it. Just let him go to town. You know what though? We need to get the catch cam on like a cherry picker or whatever you call them. They need to get risen up
Yeah,
above
they
the
do.
ground so they can see the shots coming, because catch cam had no idea where to go.
No.
And rightfully so. People were going 100 feet right. People were spraying 100 feet left. You couldn't see where anything landed. And of course, we had no cell signal out there. It's actually pretty magical itself that we're able to broadcast live disc golf from the western coast of Norway. Like that is just magic in itself when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, could we demand the tournament director to build a bird watching tower just besides that basket? Put the camera up there
For bird watching.
for bird watching, strictly for bird watching.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. But yeah, I don't know. The course had many elements to the design that blew me away, and I just love that Sievert found this game, just over a decade ago, and just turned this place into the field of dreams. And it was just so cool. That to me, that's the epitome of what disc golf is and what it always has been. And we look at a place like Maple Hill, built from the ground up and cultivated into this beautiful community, and it's the same thing here with this course. Any other thoughts that you guys have before we maybe do a quick preview of Krokhol?
This actually does have a little bit of a feel, of Maple Hill type feel to it. Just really personal in the scale of everything, and the way that there are these just like spots around the course where you can set up, and there's a little hub where you can watch a few holes. And yeah, I think that some of the holes are really, finding their identity. I think that the ninth hasn't quite found it, right? It's a little messy, and the over the top play is not super clean. While it was really fun, it causes backups, even though that today there was no backup at all. Day one though is like Ford car backup for most of the day, so anytime you have a drivable par 4 like that, it can get a little messy. And then I think the 17th is maybe a little too soft, even though Adam the winner of the tournament bogeyed it final round. I just think that I'm on course, right? And 17 comes up, and I start walking to the fairway of 18, right? Because I'm like, okay, you kind of know what's going to go down here, and you never want that, right? You want to be glued to the action, right? I think that's the hardest holes on the entire course should be down the stretch, right? Like, I think that what you have with Winthrop Gold, right? Hole 17 there. I love having that final boss, right? It doesn't have to be the 18th. We don't have to make this crazy peak hole 18, but I love a final boss. Like, hey, you could blow your tournament. If you miss execute this shot, like you're gonna get bit. I've always loved that. I think that's a big reason why USDGC has separated itself in the tension regard. But 17 could be changed, 9 could be changed, but I love this style of golf, right? I love technical OBs. I love all the par 3s to start. It's fun. It's super hard for players to repeat. I guarantee you there were, less than a dozen players that shot the same scores on 1 through 5. It's just really hard to do, really hard to birdie them all. We saw very few players start off crazy hot, and the holes aren't that long, right? And to me, when I'm on the ground watching, or if I'm watching on the network, that pulls me in a little bit more than just like the bomb and scramble holes that some of the tour has.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered all the bits and facts about the course that I had in mind. This was a beautiful course. Once again, on the network, we had the 2022, 2023 events here. One year there between 2024, we didn't visit this place, so to speak. I just have a couple of stats to throw in the air. In the FPO, we have 2 Europeans getting the throw pink positions from this tournament. Julia Foch, 13 years of age. I don't know if there has ever been a 13-year-old from Europe to getting the throw pink position. And then we have Esa-Pekka. I don't know her age exactly. She's at max 20 years old. At max.
Yeah.
And she's from Latvia, and she did super well in this tournament. Ida Lehtomäki, we talked about her through that whole broadcast and whole weekend. She birdied the last 3 holes to make a bit of amends with this final round. She was doing really badly before hole 12, only bogeys and pars. She's also having an off week now. She's not going to Krokhol. She's focusing herself to take the European Disc Golf Festival and then Worlds. Then after that, Turku Open. And then in the MPO, I want all of your StatMatter guys to go to work. I want to know, has there ever been an MPO player with his first ever Elite Series start to take solo second place? Miio Hämäläinen, this was his first Elite Series start ever.
That's hard to believe. It's just hard to think about.
That's insane.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
And he's 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Certainly not.
Yeah, he
Outside
took his
of like
PDGA
the
number
first...
in 2022.
Wow.
I was already done playing when
He's a
found
little
disc golf.
baller. He's a baller, dude. I peeled off. I started watching. It was Tipton and Miio and Kev Jones. I forgot their fourth on the chase card at the moment, but
Lowry?
I was Lowry. That's right. Thank you. I was watching them. Watch their start. I watched Sullivan Tipton throw in. Insanely beautiful throw in. Here it is on the second. Look at that touch. Kev called it halfway.
Okay.
Kev called it halfway. He's
Nate.
like, that's sexy. Bink. Oh, what?
That thing was gone.
Look at this.
I get it. Nasty throw in. You know that was gone. I bet he threw it and was like, oh boy.
There's
Sit
a chance.
down.
There's a chance, but that grass is thick and maybe it rolls down, but with the way that it was falling, it rolls down to like edge of circle. So it's not going to go OB, but I'm with you. The basket got in the way there. But so much fun to watch Sullivan play.
It's great.
Really fun to watch Kevin Jones play. It's been a while since we've seen Kev really in his stride, and he's finding the love for the game again, man. This shot was up in the air. He missed it, and everyone thought it was in. Everyone thought this was in. They thought it was in, and Kev is just getting so pumped up as he does, right? Turns around, and he's just giving everyone high fives. And I'll mention one thing about Miio, right? They were teaching him what the word right on means. Like Loudy said right on, and Kev got super hyped about his use of language there. And Miio's like, what does right on mean? And so they were giving him that lesson, and it's just so endearing. And Kev's like, oh, it means like, yeah, or okay, but it's like a California way to say it. Like, you're cool. Like, yeah, man. Cool. and Miio later in the round is like, right on. And it's just the funny little back and forth. But out of all those players, right, Lowry, Kev Jones, Sullivan Tipton, Miio comes out on top, right? Shoots the 6 down in the wind, and it's just nasty, right? It's nasty to beat those players on chase card, to get second place. It's a big moment, and we didn't see a ton of them out there, but if he's got the chops to take second here with the field that we had, he could be a threat anywhere, right?
Yeah,
sure.
I was pretty blown away. And again, he was fired up about Oiva and Miio were the 2 juniors players that I saw you keying in on. Do you know a little bit more about Miio, or was this kind of the first time that you were learning about him?
Well, I believe I've seen his name on those leaderboards just like a couple of times, very very rarely. But I saw his name before this tournament somewhere, and then I started googling. I found some information that his season 25 started with Tammer Open, and he took it down. There was Daniel Davidson, Aapo Karhi, Nestori Tuhkanen was there, and it was a two-day seat here. So he felt good after that. And then he went to Sweden for the Windberg Open. He took 6th there, and he got a large amount of practice on the off season, and he's just feeling fine, and disc golf is fun. Let's play disc golf. This is fun. Let's go have a competition. Yeah, what is this? Elite Series maybe? Yeah, let's go. Let's try it.
Who knows?
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Who knows?
Who knows how I'll
Who
play?
knows?
Who's Paul Macbeth?
Yeah, maybe the guy is the tall guy with the hat. Maybe he throws out of bounds on the 18. Maybe I'll do something.
The shot on 18 where they showed Gannon going out of bounds. He was just like, huh?
I know something's happening.
Am I really going to potentially win this tournament, guys?
Wow.
He could have very easily just been like, I'll probably get third place. I'm going to go get some kebab. And then, yeah, unbelievable stuff. But yeah, so much to talk about. But I just feel like this was a great weekend to celebrate disc golf. And we've been talking all weekend about just the ramp up and like how this is the most hyped up, series of tournaments in a row that we've ever seen. And next week we're going to like number one. Is this still number one course in the world, Krokhol?
Wow. It very well could be. I know it has been in the past, and first time that I played it quickly became instant top 5 for me. I fell in love right away. It has one of my favorite holes that I've ever played, the 4th, which there's a crazy shot of Gannon kind of splitting the gap down the hill. I don't know if you recall that one. He called it the luckiest shot in disc golf, right? But it's just a remarkable. The person that designed it saw this shot down the cliff, right? I've always said, like, no one really likes throwing uphill, right? Like, disc golf is best served downhill, right? It's so much more fun, and almost everybody can reach all the pins, and it's so much more about the angle and speed and stability, when uphill is so much more about just raw power, right? And so there's a few downhill shots there that are just memorable. You'll just never forget a birdie there if you card one. And it's on an old golf course, but it's you wouldn't know if they didn't tell you that. It really spends most of its time in this kind of dense pine forest, and it's got that little bit of European flavor to it, where there's a lot of shorter holes that are really technical and make you tense up and make you require precision. And I think that it's a course that anybody can game at, right? Bradley Williams won there in the past. It's a golfer's kind of course, and we saw Ricky dominate there last year, but I really think that Krokhol brings a lot of, I'll call them like these unknown Europeans, like, into the mix. It brings the Miios and the Onis and all these Europeans. Like, I think that they have a great shot of showing up on the network, showing up on MDG, and making a name for themselves at a course like Krokhol.
Yeah, I've heard so many good things about it, and they always get me out to Helsinki to call these types of tournaments because the studio is here. I'm so sad, but I love being in Helsinki. I love Finland. I want to go see these courses in Norway.
Me too.
Have you been to Krokhol before?
No, I haven't been to Norway ever.
Ever?
Should we not tell Juha, but we just fly to Norway and then
you
call
should.
him where are you?
Honestly,
yeah,
you should. I
Yeah.
honestly think you should do that, because like you could get a round trip flight for $120, and then it's right near Oslo. It's less than an hour from Oslo, and it would elevate your perspective as the commentators, but also you could just play it. We could play it. We could do a little challenge. I could whip both y'all's asses at Krokhol, and then you could fly back, and then you could fly back to Finland and
Ryan,
chill
Ryan,
in the booth.
How about for once in our lives we should have fun with disc golf?
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, fun.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, maybe we'll
We're
play
right.
hooky.
Do it.
That wouldn't bode well for the people who paid money, but might be nice for the sliver of the population that doesn't want to hear our voices. But hey, I'm thrilled. I'm done. I got nothing. If you guys got something to riff on, that's great. It's been a long weekend for all of us, but I'm just thrilled that you're here. And thanks for joining us, man. What are your final thoughts?
I mean, final thoughts, just to make a bridge from PCS to Krokhol. Anniken Christiansen. Her home is near Krokhol's course, might be practically her home course. Last year, she was tied 4th there. We saw her on the coverage. And this season now, four events on the DGPT. Discraft Cascade Challenge 8th, Konopiste 6th, Ale Open 4th, PCS 2nd.
Sweet.
Could be then.
Yeah, she's playing good golf.
Come
man.
on, Nate,
She's
bring
fun
us
to-
home.
She was fun to watch. Yeah, it really is. It does seem like disc golf keeps delivering these instant classics, and I don't know if that's just because we love the game so much, but you know, I'm a lover of all sports, right? And it just seems like the stories that we're telling are legit, right? We're changing lives, right? It seems like every week there's another opportunity given to a new player to kind of create a new life for themselves. Like Miio, for example, it's like now, like this is like Isaac Robinson's Portland, right? He came out on a limb. He played this tournament. Now he just took second, got a good chunk of cash for a Finnish 18-year-old, right? And now he goes back. He's going to tell his parents, and they're going to kind of like question, like, wow. Like, you made how much money? Like, you got to pay taxes on how much? And now there's going to be some legitimacy brought to this game that he's playing, and now he could potentially go and make like a long and healthy career out of it. And I think that I've always felt like that's so special. So I love what we're doing, man. It's so cool to be a part of it. I do find myself out here. You know, I have to leave home. I have to leave my fiance, and sometimes I'm out here walking the course, like, you know, I'm wondering, like, I love this so much, but I'm like, how long can I do this, you know? And I feel kind of alone, you know. Saturday, I'm just like feeling alone, you know, and then Sunday comes around, and I'm like, okay, this feels like it's meaningful, right? It's meaningful, and I feel like I'm contributing to something, to someone else's, you know, experience, to someone else's enjoyment, and it feels really, really special. And I want to close with one thing for you guys, just to kind of you know, highlight the community here. I got as I told you before on All Birdies, that Catherine and I are getting married in Scotland, July 22nd, and I ordered a linen suit. Right, I got my linen suit fitted, and I ordered it to Estonia. But they made it so quick and delivered it. It's getting there a week early, before I'll even be there. I'll be in Krokhol. And so I saw Silver and Kristin, and I approached Silver, and I asked him for help. I'm like, hey, my suit's going to be there a week early. And that very day, Silver reaches out to the hotel, comes back to me, and is like, hey, we got you. We're taking care of you. Don't even worry about it. We're picking up your suit. We'll hold on to it for you. And that's just like disc golf to a T, right? That's the community. It's a little bubble out here, and it's extra special.
What a weekend, folks. For Brian Earhart, Esa-Pekka Tupala, Nate Perkins out there in Norway, our producer Jeffrey Tosi, good night. What a weekend of disc golf. You got to go to sleep. I got to go to sleep. We got to go to sleep.
Let's go to sleep.
I didn't even know his first name was Jeffrey. Tosi?
Perfect.
Jay,
Cut it.
good night, everybody.
Cut
Good night, everybody.
that.
Let's go.
Cut that. Bye-bye.